Good morning, folks. It's Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project, Magnetic Reversal News, Sacred Geography, and Shinrin Yoku, bringing you a grand solar minimum update Tuesday, August 8th, around noontime, Mountain Time 2023. Now located behind the west limb, AR3386 kicked off another X flare last night, this one peaking at X 1.5. This is after the X 1.6 earlier that sent a coronal mass ejection our way and should be reaching us anytime now. Let's take a look at that on the model. You'll see 1, 2 CMEs meeting up and a glancing blow expected any moment. Keep calm. It's boom time. Now, an outbreak of severe thunderstorms in the east has produced widespread damaging winds and some isolated tornadoes. But the big story in the weather category for North America is historic glacial flooding in Alaska, which triggered evacuations. Officials in Juneau, Alaska, declared an emergency Sunday after record glacial flooding destroyed at least 2 buildings and forced residents to evacuate. Good news is the Mendenhall River is and has receded. There's those floodwaters, and there's one of those historic homes that is going to collapse into the river. There it goes. Now, much of the bank is still unstable, as you can see here, and this building as well. And our hearts and our prayers go out to the people that are behind this line here, watching their apartment complexes get destroyed. This is historic flooding from a glacial outwash dam. Oh my goodness. Yeah, from the Mendenhall River. So up in here, there was an ice dam. It rapidly flows down catastrophically. It's the Suicide Basin that captures water. Here's the Mendenhall Glacier. And then when you get massive outwash here, the Mendenhall River floods. And that is exactly what we saw in Alaska over the weekend. Bad news for some young children that were taken to the hospital after a lightning strike at a New Hampshire summer camp. Lightning is going to increase in size and veracity in the coming years. So when a storm approaches that has electricity in it, take heed and go inside. North Carolina weather, tens of thousands without power following severe thunderstorms. This is the look at the power outage map earlier this morning, and it was about 300,000 without power in Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Maryland, and Tennessee. Pennsylvania had the most at 98,000. Let's refresh this. There could be even more. Well, good news. Those numbers have reduced in the last 3 or 4 hours, just down to about 200,000 without power on the East Coast as the storms move away. Bad news out here in the West. It hasn't rained in 12 weeks in our area, and fires are breaking out all over the place. High winds and dry lightning is causing many fires to pop up around Lake Navajo and Pagosa. The closest fire being the Quartz Ridge fire. I filmed some of that yesterday on Putt Hill and Pagosa, and I'll be getting back out there today to get more footage as the wind is expected to pick up. And this fire has gone from 1 acre to 600 acres in just 48 hours. It's in an extremely remote area of the South San Juan Wilderness. Difficult to get to even for firefighters. So stay tuned for those updates later today. Here is the smoke map, and it appears as if more smoke is entering the country from those Canadian wildfires. There are dozens of them here in southwest Canada, including British Columbia and Alberta. Most of them burning in the high country, but sending smoke down into the northern tier of North America for the next few days. So if you're wondering why it's hazy out in the northern plains, you can blame Canada. Heavy rainfall across the northeast, ongoing heat across the south, and strong winds for Hawaii. A storm system will track across New England today, accompanied by heavy rainfall and the threat of flooding. Record-setting heat continues across the south and southeast through most of the week, with critical fire weather conditions in areas of the Four Corners and Southern Plains into Wednesday. My entire area and our county are under fire weather alerts. Dangerous surf conditions and strong winds and critical fire weather hazards across Hawaii because of a tropical storm to the south. Here's the forecast, and you can see there's some heavy, maybe some severe weather popping up here in Arkansas, Mississippi, and moving out of the northeast, affecting only Maine now. Next 3 hours, that should push offshore for the northeast with lingering rain in northern New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine as that severe storm system moves across the southeast. Now, does your drinking water contain forever chemicals? We've been talking about that on the channel now for years. And now it has been confirmed that PFAS is in almost 100% of all rainwater. Well, these so-called forever chemicals have been found in 45% of the nation's tap water, according to a recent government study. But is your tap water affected? And do you have a clean well to avoid the tap water? Here is the PFAS contamination map in the U.S. as of June 8th, 2022, and you can enlarge it and click on your region. Thank goodness I left Philadelphia. The entire state of New Jersey is contaminated, as well as many other regions in the Northeast you want to eliminate and stay away from. And Durango is the big dirty city. They've got all that toxic mining around there. Good news in Pagosa, we are protected from the Continental Divide and no oil and gas. So check out the map and see how well your tap water is doing. Deadly floods hit China. We've been talking about this over the last week, but now major grain-producing regions inundated. And this is fueling food security concerns. The link will be below to all of the topics we talk about. Record cold sweeps Europe as intense snow continues to pound Italy and Spain. Almanac predicts cold, snowy winter for the U.S. and a new August low for Rapa Island as we wait for the X-flare glancing blow to hit the Earth. Seismic update. We've got some activity here, 5.6 in Tanzania. This is that new ocean that's forming in the East African Rift. Overall seismicity across the globe quite low. Worldwide volcano news update. Fuego to 15,000. We've got Santo Huito, Popo, Semaru, Ducono, Ubainas to 20,000. Fuego to 15. Mayon is puffing again. Nevado de Ruiz to 19. Santo Huito to 13. Ubainas is still in action. Semaru eruptions continue with lava flow from the summit. Reventador here near frequent eruptions. And glowing avalanches persist. Popo puffing to 19. And all activity is quite average and normal. Space weather news update. We did have another X-flare, like we said at the opening, X1.5 from active region 3386. It had already turned over the limb, so this is no threat to us whatsoever. This coronal mass ejection is going to be shot away from Earth. No chance for a glancing blow, but an X-flare nonetheless. The 3-day geomagnetic forecast is now showing us getting into G2 geomagnetic storm maybe in the next 3 hours. So stay tuned for that. If it persists into the evening, could be quite an auroral display tonight. So go out and look up. As we're monitoring telemetry, there was an earlier shift about 12 hours ago. Could be an early arrival of the shock wave, but nothing significant in terms of space weather developing, as we are still sitting quite low here at just KP1. And we'll take a look at that model once again for you. That's a cannibal CME when one is faster than the other and they meet up. And so this is showing impact, in the next 3 to 6 hours. Now, good news. Researchers find that women were hunters throughout history. So, history is not as misogynistic as you think. There is sufficient evidence to warrant the conclusion that women in foraging societies across the world participated in hunting. I don't know why that's good news, but nonetheless, women were hunters. And if you live in Pagosa, you know that. An interesting paper we want to share with you, Transhumanism, Medical Technology, and Slippery Slopes. In this article, transhumanism is considered to be a quasi-medical ideology that seeks to promote a variety of therapeutic and human-enhancing aims. But it is a slippery slope, and how far will we go? It's anyone's guess. Peruvian villagers report attacks by 7-foot armored aliens resembling the Green Goblin from Spider-Man. This is breaking news coming out less than 24 hours ago. Terrified villagers in rural districts in Alto, Nene, northeast of Lima, Peru, claim they are under attack by 7-foot armored aliens that bear a striking resemblance to Green Goblins from Spider-Man. According to the locals, these extraterrestrials have large heads and yellowish eyes, and they've been launching nightly attacks since the 11th of July, even slashing one woman's throat. Villagers have taken matters into their own hands by conducting night patrols to hunt down the alien attackers. They have even requested military presence from the authorities, but reaching the remote community from Iquitos City requires a challenging 10-hour river trip, which is probably why the aliens are targeting this area. No pictures of the aliens were provided. And that's a boom to knowledge. Hope you got something out of the video. Please share this video as we are shadow banned. We need your help to grow. Become a Patreon, support the work we do. We love you. Be safe. And check out later today for some of the wildfire footage we may capture.